Hi, I'm Maggie Power, and today I will be talking to you about sexual harassment. Sexual harassment is a worldwide epidemic, and today I will teach you what it looks like in the workplace, in the United States, and across the globe. Sexual harassment is infamously common in the workplace, and one of the most common forms is through verbal harassment. And it was discovered that 25% of men in a New York Times study have admitted to sharing inappropriate jokes and or videos while at work. Another common form is physical harassment, and 2% of men in this same study have admitted to pressuring coworkers into sexual acts, either by reward or threat. Also, 50% of female nurses have been physically or verbally harassed while at work. Luckily, there have been some preventative measures taken to stop sexual harassment in the workplace. For example, in 1964, during the Civil Rights Movement, Title VII makes it illegal to discriminate against workers based on gender. And in 1976, in addition to the same title, prohibits sexual harassment in the workplace. Lastly, in 1991, Amendment 42 makes it necessary for victims to receive compensation for the offense and for the offender to receive punishment decided by a jury. Sadly, victims are still hesitant to come out because of the fear of disbelief, inaction, or retaliation from the offender. Despite the laws passed to prevent sexual harassment, it is still a common occurrence in the United States. Sexual harassment is even committed by members of the U.S. government. One popular example of this is a video that was released of our president bragging about inappropriately grabbing women. Another popular example is the former Democratic Congressman Anthony Weiner, who was sentenced to 2 years in prison for sending and texting inappropriate images of himself. And lastly, roughly 2 years ago, the former Republican Speaker of House, Dennis Hassard, had admitted to molesting teenage boys on a wrestling team that he had previously coached. Though we know that the main victim of sexual harassment in the United States is women, men are also greatly affected. And in fact, a fifth of the complaints at work of sexual harassment come from men. And in a CNBC poll last December, it was discovered that 10% of men in the United States have been affected by sexual violence at least once in their life. And this doesn't include the multitudes of men that are scared to come out because of the stereotype that men should be able to handle themselves or not be affected by such things. The United States is not the only country hindered by sexual violence, and millions of people all over the world are affected by sexual harassment every day. Many of you may know about the Me Too movement that started in the United States. It was founded to support survivors and end sexual violence across the United States, but this trend has sparked change globally, and the hashtag Yo Tambien has become very popular in Spanish-speaking countries, along with the hashtag Balance ton porc, or Call It Your Pig, in France. Sadly still, the rates of sexual harassment across the world are very high, and in an ActionAid survey, it was discovered that 37% of Arab women, along with 99% of Egyptian women, have been sexually harassed at least once in their life. This study also found that 3/4 of women in South Africa, along with 86% of women in Brazil, have been sexually harassed, and 84% of the sexual harassment in Brazil comes from members of the country's police force. Today, I have reviewed the many aspects of sexual harassment, and it is my hope that because of this presentation, you'll be more aware of the truth of your surroundings, and therefore be more prepared to keep yourself and others safe.